A marriage built on trust, shattered in an instant. But the true devastation wasn't the betrayal itself. It was the way she delivered it. She spoke as if she had already won, as if my love was an unbreakable chain that bound me to her no matter what she did. She was certain I would never walk away. But she forgot one crucial detail. In chess, every move has a counter. And from the very start, I was setting the board to end the game on my terms. Before I share the story that changed my life, be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. You think you know the person you've built a life with. You share meals, a bed, years of memories under the same roof. Then, in one unexpected moment, you realize it was all an illusion. For me, that moment came on an ordinary Tuesday evening. I had just finished dinner, savoring the lingering aroma from the kitchen. The last sip of wine left a sweetness in the air as Rachel sat across from me, her eyes distant yet unreadable. A faint smirk played on her lips, as if she were relishing an inside joke only she understood. Then, with chilling nonchalance, she spoke. "I'm seeing someone else." The words hung between us like a guillotine. I blinked, convinced I had misheard her. But her expression didn't change. She took a slow sip of wine, set the glass down, and met my gaze with unwavering certainty. No guilt, no hesitation, no remorse. I exhaled, barely a whisper. "What?" Rachel shrugged. "What?" "Don't act surprised." Surprised? My heartbeat was steady, my mind fighting to process the weight of her words. Her confidence was unnerving, her smile infuriating. She believed she had played the final move. "You're not going to leave me," she declared, swirling the wine in her glass. "And no matter what I do, you'll always take care of me." Something inside me cracked, but not into rage. No, rage would be a loss, and she wanted that. She expected an outburst, a fight, an emotional implosion. She thought she held all the power. Instead, I placed my hand on the table, tilted my head slightly, and smiled. "You're right." Rachel's smirk faltered, just for a moment. She had prepared for fury, for pleading, for anything but this. Yet she still believed she had won. "Look, Ethan," she said, her tone softening. "This doesn't have to be a tragedy. We're free now. This is what's best for both of us." She took another sip, savoring what she thought was her triumph. But she had no idea that, in that very moment, the game had shifted. From that night on, I became the one controlling the board. The first step? Silence. No anger, no accusations, no demands. Just quiet acceptance. It unsettled her, planted the first seeds of doubt. Days later, as she made coffee, she hesitated before asking, "Why are you so calm about this?" I glanced up from my newspaper, shrugged. "What can I do?" Her eyes narrowed. She searched my face for a reaction, but my mask was flawless. Arrogance won over instinct, and she let it go. And so, I set the trap. The more freedom I gave her, the tighter I wound the noose. She believed she was gaining independence. I encouraged it. "You should take more time for yourself," I told her. "Spend weekends with him. See where this new life takes you." She hesitated, then smiled. "I can't believe you're actually saying this. I just want you to be happy." That was the moment she stepped into the snare, mistaking my detachment for weakness. With every move, I positioned her exactly where I needed her. I transferred bills into her name. Credit cards, rent, utilities, each a thread binding her to a responsibility she never saw coming. She was so intoxicated by her so-called freedom that she never questioned it. Gradually, she began spending more nights away. First one, then weekends, until she barely lived in the home we once shared. "Maybe you should consider moving out completely," I suggested one evening. She hesitated, a flicker of uncertainty in her eyes. But then, with that same confident smirk, she said, "Maybe you're right." The final move was set. Once she left for good, I made my last preparations. I switched to a lower-paying job, better perks, lower salary, meaning no alimony. Every financial burden was now solely in her name. I filed for divorce, quietly, methodically. Then I waited. Rachel and her affair partner went on vacation. A luxury getaway, entirely funded by her credit cards. When she returned, she walked up to the front door, slid in her key, and turned it. It didn't open. She tried again. Nothing. Her brow furrowed, panic creeping into her expression. She pounded on the door. "Ethan, open up." I watched through the peephole, savoring the first real moment of fear on her face. I cracked the door open, met her wide, confused eyes, but I didn't invite her in. Behind me, her packed suitcases lined the hallway. She glanced at them, then back at me, her confidence fracturing. What is this? Without a word, I handed her the divorce papers. And in that instant, she finally understood who had truly won the game she thought she controlled. Because silence is the most powerful weapon. People expect anger, tears, desperation. But when you give them nothing, that's when they truly start to unravel. Rachel believed she stood on the edge of victory. A new life, a new love, financial security still resting with me. She believed everything was going her way. But what she didn't know was that every card was already in my hand. And now, it was time for the final move. Rachel was returning from a week-long vacation with her boyfriend. A luxury hotel, expensive restaurants, private tours. Naturally, everything was charged to her credit card. She spent freely without thinking. Because in her mind, I'd be the one paying for it all, right? That was her greatest mistake. On her way home from the airport, she was probably scrolling through her phone. Maybe telling friends about her amazing trip. Maybe texting her boyfriend about their next plans. But she had no idea what was waiting for her. When she got to the door, everything changed. Rachel pulled out her key, slid it into the lock, and turned it. But the door didn't open. She frowned, tried again. Harder this time. Still nothing. Her brow furrowed. She bit her lip. This is ridiculous. She paused, then started pounding on the door. Ethan? Ethan, come on, open up. But I didn't. For several minutes, she kept trying. Banging. Unlocking. Pleading. But there was nothing left for her on the other side of that door. Finally, she took a deep breath, pulled out her phone, and called me. I watched it vibrate on the kitchen counter. Her name glowing on the screen. I didn't answer. That was the message. Nothing was ever going to be the same again. After about 10 minutes of banging on the door, she gave up. Stepped back. That's when I opened it. Just a crack. Our eyes met, and for the first time, I saw real fear on her face. What is this, Ethan? She said through clenched teeth. Why doesn't my key work? Every part of me wanted to grin and spell it out. But I didn't. I just tilted my head slightly and stepped aside. That's when she saw them. The suitcases lined up neatly in the entryway, with divorce papers placed right on top. The look on her face was priceless. Her eyes widened. Her lips parted. At first, she laughed, like it was some kind of joke. But within seconds, that laugh vanished. What? What is this? She whispered. Without a word, I picked up the envelope and handed it to her. Divorce papers. Rachel snatched it from my hand and tore it open. Her eyes scanned the lines. First came the frown, then the wide-eyed shock. The first wave had hit. Then, total silence. How is this even possible? She muttered. I took a deep breath. Now it was time. It's simple, Rachel, I said, folding my arms at the doorway. You don't live here anymore. Something in her shifted. She looked at me, then at the bags, then back to the papers. Reality hit her like a slap. You kicked me out? She whispered. I shook my head slowly. No, Rachel. You already moved out a long time ago. That's when she remembered. The nights spent at her boyfriend's place. The freedom talks I'd given her. The moments she thought she was in control, when really, she was walking into her own trap. But I still have rights. I can come back. Calmly, I gestured. Do you? Then maybe check that page right there. Rachel flipped through the papers, breathing faster. When she hit page 5, she froze. Right there in black and white. The house had been legally transferred to me. Every bill, every debt, under her name. I had none. Checkmate. Rachel looked up, panic flooding her face. How could you do this? But her voice trembled. I didn't do this, Rachel. You did. She took a shaky breath. Anger flickered across her face. But it was buried under the fear in her eyes. What about alimony? She snapped. You still have to pay me. That was what she cared about. Not losing me. Losing the money. And that's when I delivered the final blow. Smiling, I shook my head. Oh, Rachel, you'd have to earn less than me to qualify for alimony. She didn't get it at first. Then she flipped to the next page. And just like that, her face drained of all color. There it was. Proof I'd taken a lower-paying job. And now she was the higher earner. That was the moment everything she'd planned crumbled. She'd get nothing. The house. Gone. The money. Gone. The guaranteed future. Gone. Rachel stared at me from the doorway. Speechless. Breathless. I waited for her to say something. Anything. But she didn't. Because for the first time, she knew she had truly lost. And as I closed the door, I said just one sentence. Now you're truly free. The door shut. Silenced. Some battles aren't won on the battlefield. Some victories are buried quietly, between paperwork and signatures. And that's exactly how I won. I'll never forget the look on Rachel's face when she stood frozen at the door. She was free now. Truly free. But her freedom wasn't the luxury she imagined. It was a complete disaster. She no longer had a home to return to. Every plan she made, thinking I'd always be there, collapsed in an instant. But she still had one last hope. The court. Maybe she still believed she could find a way to stay tethered to me. Maybe she still thought she could win. What she didn't understand was that this war had already ended, and all it would take was one look at me in the courtroom for her to realize it. Rachel's face was blank, but beneath it, I could sense panic. When she entered the courtroom, her eyes immediately searched for me. She remembered me. Just a few months ago, I was the man who adored her, who gave her everything, who supported her no matter what. But now, she was staring at someone else entirely. Calm, silent, and already several moves ahead. As the judge flipped through the documents, Rachel leaned in and whispered to her lawyer. She could feel something was off, but she didn't yet know what. And then, the judge began to speak. The court finds that the petitioner, Ethan, has a lower income than the respondent, Rachel. Her face fell. What? The judge continued. Therefore, the respondent is not entitled to any alimony. Silence filled the room. Rachel could barely breathe. And then, the collapse. This? How is this even possible? She cried out. She leaned forward, hands gripping the table, eyes darting over the documents. She flipped through page after page in disbelief. But the truth was already written in ink. The judge's voice remained steady. The respondent, Rachel, is financially independent. The house debts and loans have all been legally transferred to her name. The petitioner, Ethan, holds no further responsibility. The court sees no reason to grant any financial support to the respondent. Rachel sank into her chair. In just minutes, her entire world crumbled. Should I have felt sorry for losing her? No, because losing her was my freedom. When the judge gave his final words, my lawyer handed me the documents. I picked up the pen and signed. And just like that, a brand new chapter of my life began. Rachel sat frozen in the courtroom, trapped in the ruins of her own making. Maybe she thought her boyfriend would be there for her. Maybe she believed he'd pick up the pieces. But he was already gone. I stepped out of the courthouse, expecting one last desperate move from her. And I was right. She rushed after me, grabbing my arm, her eyes wide with panic. Ethan, please. Can we talk? Her voice trembled. Her eyes were watery. But I knew those tears weren't for love. They were for the life she lost. I pulled my arm away, my voice calm. There's nothing left to talk about, Rachel. She kept pleading, trying to cling to me. Please, I made a mistake. You know I love you. It didn't move me. Not even a little. I shook my head, delivering the final words she would ever hear from me. Rachel, you never loved me. Something in her shattered. Her mouth opened, but no words came. I turned and walked away, leaving her behind, exactly where she belonged, in the past. From that day forward, I never spoke to Rachel again. I later heard that her boyfriend abandoned her. She couldn't pay her debts. She moved into a dingy, run-down apartment, far from the luxury she once flaunted. She tried calling me. Every message was the same. I miss you. Can we talk? I never replied. I left her in silence. Life has a way of delivering the harshest lessons. My lesson was freedom. Rachel was gone, and I had truly won. Some endings hit harder than expected. Some people lose everything and claw their way back. Others drown in the wreckage they created. Rachel belonged to the second group. She thought she had lost everything in that courtroom. But her downfall had only just begun. She still believed she had a way back, clinging to the illusion that I might take her calls, that someone might save her. But no one did. And slowly, her world collapsed. Rachel had been addicted to luxury, five-star dinners, exotic vacations, VIP treatment. That life was gone. At first, she denied it. She told people she was fine. But reality hit like a sledgehammer. Debt crushed her. She lost her fancy apartment. Ended up in a cramped, noisy unit by the highway. A woman who once woke up to ocean views now woke up to the stench of overflowing trash bins. But the cruelest twist? She truly believed her affair partner would stand by her. When the money ran out, so did the love. A mutual friend told me she had met up with him after the hearing, confessing everything. He had played it cool at first, but days later, He stopped responding. Then, one morning, she found out he was with someone else. That's when she realized she was truly alone. First, she tried to live off me. Then him. Now, no one. Rachel once had a circle of friends, people who partied with her, spent her money, laughed at her jokes. When the money dried up, so did their loyalty. Calls went unanswered. Invitations disappeared. A few acquaintances reached out to me. Rachel's not doing well. Have you thought about reaching out? I responded with a single word, no. Because Rachel's downfall wasn't my victory. It was simply inevitable. One morning, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I didn't answer. A message followed. Ethan, I know everything's a mess. But please, give me one more chance. Can we talk? I miss you. Rachel, the same woman who once discarded me, now reduced to begging. I read the message. Slowly. Felt nothing. Then, without hesitation, I blocked her number. Rachel was nothing more than a memory now. At work, I rose again. My finances recovered. But more importantly, I was free. I surrounded myself with people who actually cared. No games. No manipulation. No parasites. And for the first time in years, I woke up without regret. Some losses are actually wins. The day Rachel walked out of my life, I truly won. And I will never go back. If I've learned anything, it's this. You don't need to scream to get revenge. You don't need to fight to win a war. You don't need to destroy your enemy to claim victory. Sometimes, all you have to do is move forward in silence. And as you keep walking, they fall further and further behind. Rachel is already far behind. And me? I'm moving forward. Free.